Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. My name is Nadia Ayuni binti Mohd Ruslan. My metric number is 2023263208. So today I will be presenting an article critique of the article Resolving Conflict in the Workplace and Why Common Sense is Not Enough, originally published by Forbes. So the article features insight from Richard Bird, an experienced mediator and conflict resolution specialist. So my review examines the strength, limitations, and how its idea relate to workplace realities, particularly in the Malaysian context. So, conflict in the workplace happens every day, but many people assume that they can be solved simply by using common sense. However, this article challenges that idea. It argues that workplace conflict is complex, emotional, and often influenced by deeper organizational issues, which means intuition alone is not enough. The article argued that relying on common sense is not enough to resolve workplace conflicts. So according to Birds, conflicts are usually complex, emotionally layered, and influenced by organizational systems such as policies, roles, and power dynamic. He emphasized that structures and skill-based approach produce far better outcomes than instinctive reactions. The article also highlights common conflict triggers such as communication breakdowns, perceived unfairness, workload imbalance, and interpersonal misunderstandings. Briggs explained that poorly trained managers often escalate problems unintentionally, which make early intervention and structured dialogue crucial. My analysis of this article finds that its core message is strongly validated by academic research, but it also has significant limitations in its depth and applicability. So firstly, let's discuss the strength when I agree with the article. One major strength of the article is its evidence-based understanding of conflict as a performance issue. This is strongly supported by local research, for example, studies by Buan at 2024 and Lee at 2023 in Malaysia show that unresolved conflict reduce productivity, disrupt teamwork, and damage morale, especially during challenging periods like remote work. The article also accurately identifies communication breakdowns and perceived inequality as major causes of a conflict. This aligns with findings by Latif and Musaimi at 2024, who discovered that unclear expectations and miscommunication were the primary drivers of conflict among civil servants in the Tanjung Manis District Office. Another strength is the article's promotion of structured conflict management methods. So Birds highlight techniques such as mediation and interest-based negotiations. Malaysian research support this, showing that collaborative conflict management style improve group cohesion and performance, especially during the storming and norming phase of a teamwork. Lastly, the article acknowledged systemic factors such as leadership behavior and organizational power of dynamic. Research by Abdul Aziz at 2021 showed that leadership power accounts for as much as 41% of interpersonal conflict variance in certain Malaysian organizations. This confirms the importance of addressing structural factors, not just interpersonal issues. Despite its strength, the article has several limitations. First, it lacks quantitative evidence. So Bird's observations are valid, but they rely heavily on expert opinion rather than data. In contrast, studies like Jaafar at 2021 demonstrate the value of measurable evidence through statistical analysis that support stronger and more reliable conclusions. Second, the article does not address cultural and contextual differences. Workplace conflict in Malaysia, for example, is influenced by our collectivist culture and high power distance. This factor shape employees' willingness to speak up and influence their conflict style. Like study by Ismail at 2022 show that strategies must be culturally relevant to work effectively. Third, the article underexplores systemic and policy-level issues. So structural problems such as vague governance guidelines or weak organizational culture can worsen conflicts. So this is supported by Type at 2025, who research highlight how systemic limitation undermine organizational performance. Finally, the article lacked practical framework or follow-up strategies. Like Abdullah at 2025 emphasized the need for structure framework in implementation, which the article fails to provide. So based on the critique, there are several recommendations can strengthen workplace conflict management. The first recommendation is to provide structured conflict management training. So managers and employees should be trained in communication, emotional intelligence, and mediations. This prevents issues from escalating and support healthier workplace interactions. Like Lessons Guide at 2023 also highlight that yearly training minimizes performance losses. The second recommendation is to establish clear conflict resolution policy and yearly intervention system. So organizations should create transparent channels for reporting issue and receive feedback. Research by One at 2024 showed that yearly detection significantly reduced long-term conflicts. Next, organizations should foster a culture of openness and psychology safety. So employees should feel comfortable express concern without fear of punishment. Studies by Lee at 2023 indicate that supportive culture improve cooperation and reduce escalations. The final recommendation is to address structural and leadership-related causes of a conflict. So regular review of workload distributions, power dynamic, and role clarity are essential. Like research by Abdullah at 2025 highlight that clearer structure and stronger leadership reduce recurring conflicts. In conclusion, the article provides strong insight into why common sense alone is not enough to resolve workplace conflict. So, Bird's arguments are strongly supported by Malaysian studies that show the significant impact of communications, leadership, and organizational system on workplace relationships. However, the article also has weakness, especially its lack of data, cultural consideration, and practical framework. Overall, the critics show that effective conflict management requires evidence-based training, structured policies, supportive leadership, and a culture of openness. So this practice help organizations build healthier, fair, and more resilient workplace. So that's all from me. Thank you.